Adrianne Silva. I am the graduate advisor here at our Graduate Student Center, and I'm very honored to present Kimber Wellman. She always gives amazing presentations about graduate funding or post-bac funding.
All right. Thank you so much, Adrianne. Welcome everybody who's joining us today. So I'm going to go through the presentation. It looks like we've got a pretty good mix of master's students and prospective credential students. So I'm going to cover some basic information, and at the very end, I'm also going to give you my direct email. So you guys are always welcome to, if you leave this with any questions that weren't answered, or you have specific personal questions related to you, financial aid can be a little personal and touchy, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly, okay? And I will get back to you. When we think about financing or going into a graduate program, it's not just the financial aid we got to consider. There's also application fees, testing fees. So we're going to kind of walk through everything from start to finish. And then we will definitely have time for questions at the end as well. If you think of a question, feel free to throw it in the chat, or you can ask it live after we finish the presentation, whichever you're more comfortable with. As Adrianne explained, my name is Kim Wellman. I am a financial aid advisor here at CSUB, and I am the scholarship coordinator. So I oversee the scholarship program. I also received both my bachelor's and my master's here at CSUB. So I've been where you're at. I've gone through the program, and our whole office is here to help you all we can, okay, to get the financing that you need to get through your program. And we're here to advise you whether you're going to CSUB or you're looking to go outside to a graduate school outside of CSUB as well. So the first thing to keep in mind is, yes, you can. You can make graduate school happen, whether it's credential, master's, or you're working on your doctorate program. You can make it happen. So things we're going to talk about today are the application and testing fees you might be looking at, how to determine published costs versus actual out-of-pocket cost, because those can be very different things, some financial tools available, as well as the financial aid process. So application fees, applying to graduate school can get pretty pricey if you're looking at applying to multiple schools. They can range from, some schools have no fees, some schools have application fees up to $200 or more. Most fall in the $50 to $80 range, maybe right below $100. CSUB is currently at $70 to apply for any new application, whether it's graduate, credential, I believe doctorate is the same. Some current testing fees. So I actually went online to double check those, and they did go up this year. Both the GMAT and the LSAT did go up a little bit just recently. So these are the newest fees I could find. GRE is $205, GMAT $275, and the LSATs are at $215. If you have an idea what school you're going to be going to, always reach out to them to see, number one, if they have application waivers. Okay, based on your FAFSA or DREAM Act application, they might waive the application fee completely. And different schools will have different programs. A lot of campuses will also offer forms that can help you get reduced testing fees. So always reach out to the admissions office, the Graduate Student Center, or even financial aid if you're looking at taking those tests, to see if we have something that might help you pay less than the published rate. Knowing the cost that you're looking at, always budget ahead of time. If you know you're going to apply to 4 to 5 graduate schools and you're looking at $100 a piece, make sure you have those funds ready, because you don't want to postpone applying because they're going to have strict deadlines that you need to apply by. And the same with testing. Just kind of figure all of those into your budget. Published costs of attendance versus actual out-of-pocket costs. So if you go online to any campus you're looking at, you'll pretty much be able to see what their tuition is, or an expected cost of attendance amount or budget. Private schools are going to be able to maybe offer you a lot more in scholarship funds or private, institutional grants. So if you really look at a school and you feel it's a good match, I don't want you to be scared off by that published cost. Make sure that you pursue it, find out what they're going to offer, what is your actual out-of-pocket going to be, and then start looking at making your decisions, based on what's the best fit for you, for your career, for your goals, as well as what you can financially afford. But those published rates can be scary and they can be very misleading. So make sure if you like the school, follow the process all the way to the end to see what they will actually give you to attend. All right, some example cost of attendance budgets. So this is our current graduate student or master's student, what we call budget here at CSUB. We've got 3 different budgets based on your living arrangements. What you put on your FAFSA or your DREAM Act is what determines this budget. So it's either with parent, on campus, or off campus. With parent will be the least because you're not expected to pay rent usually if you're living with your parent. I know some parents make students pay rent. But the only number on here that is actually set in stone is the very bottom, the tuition fees. So that is the tuition cost for a master's student here at CSUB taking 7 units or more, and that's for the year. So the rest of these costs, the room and board, transportation, miscellaneous, books and supplies, these are what we call soft cost. So those are just estimates that we use for budgeting purposes. And every campus you look at should have an example cost of attendance budget. So when you're looking at how much is it really going to cost you to attend that campus, just keep in mind that tuition is really the only hard cost unless you're living on campus, and the room and board would be another hard cost. Okay, I know most master's students don't live on campus, but some do. But everything else in here is just an estimate, something you can control by, having a roommate, spending less on transportation, those kinds of things. But again, those are estimates that we use for budgeting. Thinking about pursuing a graduate degree, a second graduate degree, a doctoral degree, one thing we always want to do is look at what's the expected outcome. Financially, why am I wanting to do this? Most of us go into our master's degree thinking this is going to help me earn more down the road. 2 key factors that I really encourage you to look at when you're considering your program, where you're going to go, where you're going to wind up after you graduate, is look at the demographics for the area that you're looking to live in when you're done. Then look at the career that you're looking to choose. So this is just an example, and these were kind of local areas, but business administration, if we look at the bachelor's versus master's degree, the expected pay difference is around $27,000. Okay, that's pretty significant. So if you're looking at, pursuing your master's degree, you're done in 2 years, and now you could potentially be making $27,000 more a year. So just as an example. If we look at computer science, however, the spread isn't quite as big. So for computer science, the bachelor's degree starts with a higher earning at 68, and then with the master's, maybe up to 82. So now you're looking at a differential of about 14,000. So again, that's just something you want to keep in mind, and those will change based on what area you're going to live in and what your program is in. And those are links you can use to go take a look and put in the area you might be living in and what your master's might be in, and it will give you that kind of information. So for financial aid, for the financial aid process, it all starts with the FAFSA or DREAM Act. I encourage everybody, whether you think you can receive financial aid or not, to please do your FAFSA and your DREAM Act. Aid opportunities are changing every year. Just as an example, for credential students, the state has added 2 new grants just within the last 2 years that are available to credential students. So things are always changing, but those options are going to need your FAFSA or your DREAM Act. So always do them, please, please, please. Even if you're applying for scholarships, and let's say it's a merit scholarship and not a need-based, so you didn't do your FAFSA or DREAM Act, for that particular scholarship, there may be a tie. So let's say it's a tie and it's between you and the student sitting next to you, and they did their FAFSA and the scores and everything else are the same, now it's going to go to the student who has financial need. Please, please always do your FAFSA or Dream Act. It can't hurt you to do it, but you can lose out on so many opportunities by not doing it. So the applications open October 1st every year, and the priority deadline here in California is March 2nd. So for those of you who currently attend CSUB or any CSU, maybe you've heard of SUG or State University Grant. This is a grant that we do have available for master's students. And this is why I want to explain that priority deadline and why it's important. For State University Grant, we have a limited bucket of funds. There's only so much money. So we have way more eligible students here at CSUB than we do funds available for graduate State University Grant. So the ones it's going to go to are the ones, or that we're going to prioritize, are those who did their FAFSA by March 2nd. So that's why we call it a priority deadline, but it can really help you be awarded those limited funds where we have more students eligible than we do money available. All right, some different types of aid, and this slide is kind of specific here to CSUB. So federal student aid programs for graduates, for doctoral students and master's students. If you've done your FAFSA, you're going to be offered $20,500 in unsubsidized loan. Pretty much no matter what, that will be offered to you. For credential students, if you're a dependent student or independent, you can still be offered $5,500 a year in subsidized, an additional $7,000 in unsub if you're an independent student. Pell Grant can also be available for credential students if you're Pell eligible and have time remaining. Pell has a 6-year limit. So if you're continuing into from a bachelor's to your credential program, you could potentially still receive Pell. Teach Grant is available, federal work study, some state aid programs, the State University Grant, that's the one that I was just talking about, that's a limited fund. You can get up to $71.76 per year. As a graduate student, that's $35.88. So it covers basically all of your fees as a master's student, except for the campus-based fees, which are $949 right now. So State University Grant can be a huge help. There's also an MBA grant available for those just in the MBA program that can help cover the $270 per unit additional fees that you're charged. There is a graduate equity fellowship that the campus offers. It is awarded through the Graduate Student Center. So the typical awards that they offer range from $500 to $3,000. And then for California Dream Act students, we can still award State University Grant, and you can also take out private loans, but not federal loans. So just an example of some of the aid you could be offered here at CSUB or really any CSU for if you've done your FAFSA or your Dream Act application. Grants will vary by state. So if you're looking at attending outside of California or outside the CSU system, really take a look at their financial aid websites, reach out to them directly to find out what type of aid they might have available. Your scholarships will vary by the school you go to, the program you're in, as well as the major. CSUB, we just started this new scholarship portal called scholarshipuniverse.com, and there's the link. One thing I absolutely love about this portal, you guys, it's open 24/7 all year long, and it houses thousands of external scholarships outside of CSUB. So just for example, if you're currently a bachelor student here at CSUB and you're looking to attend in Colorado, but you know what your major is going to be, you can start looking and applying for scholarships now that would be offered and available no matter where you attend. So an external scholarship is one, again, offered outside of CSUB. And that means you can take it with you. If you're awarded it, you can take it with you wherever you go, no matter what school that might be. Our CSUB scholarships will open up in early January, and we have a priority deadline of March 2nd, which matches the FAFSA and Dream Act priority deadline. And here on campus, our CSUB scholarships, we offer almost $1 million a year total that are awarded to CSUB students directly through this portal as well. So again, it can be used by anybody who has a CSUB ID and login. please check it out because there are some really, really nice scholarships out there and available. And if you get into that portal and you have any questions about an essay or an application requirement, I am here to help you. So no matter what school you might be going to, please shoot me an email if I can help you with any of those scholarship related issues, okay? Free money is free money. We want to get you free money. So receiving aid here at CSUB. So again, please do the FAFSA or DREAM Act, even if you think you're not going to qualify, it cannot hurt you to get it done. Make sure that you're admitted. So for master's programs, it's a little different than an undergrad. You usually have to apply not only to the campus, but most majors will have a separate application that you need to file directly with the department as well. And I know that our Graduate Student Center here on campus is amazing, and they can help guide you through all those requirements needed to get into your desired program. Enrollment is considered 3 units is considered half-time for a master's student. 6 units for a credential student is half-time. So in most cases, to receive aid, whether it's state, university grant, or loan, you need to be enrolled at least half-time. You have to be meeting SAP, satisfactory academic progress. Now, if you're just coming out of your undergrad and you're starting brand new in a new program, credential or master's, your SAP starts all over. Your GPA starts all over. The units you've earned starts all over. So you got a clean slate coming right in for SAP. Optional but recommended on your MyCSUB, if you haven't done so and you're attending here, please sign up for direct deposit. The last few years, the campus has received CARES funds that we've been able to distribute to students. So even students who have not done a FAFSA, not done a DREAM Act, were eligible for those funds, but a lot of students had not set up direct deposit. So there was a huge delay in getting those funds to them. And of course, we want to get money to you as soon as we can. So please sign up for direct deposit through your MyCSUB portal. Cash Course online tool. We all been listening to all the loan talk that's happening in the news lately with the loans being waived. Cash Course is a really good tool to help educate yourself or just to use as a tool to set up a budget. How do I save up the money that I need for my graduate applications and my testing fees? And CSUB is covering the cost of this tool if you're a CSUB student. Again, you're going to log in with your NetID and password, but I really encourage you just to check it out. So just some examples are educational courses. Some are live with an instructor, some are self-study, customizable tools such as budgets, quizzes, calculators, a dashboard you can use to track. You can even track like watching your credit score grow. And it can help you. How do you grow your credit score? How do you save for that down on the house? And then a guide to just real life money questions. There is our contact information. That is general information or contact here for the financial aid office. There's a phone number. There's the email as well as our web page address. And there is my direct email. So if you have any questions, again, if they pop up later, please feel free to email me directly and I will get back to you just as soon as I possibly can. One thing that isn't covered in the presentation is that when you do your FAFSA or DREAM Act, they're asking you for income from a couple years ago, right? So like for this year's FAFSA, they're asking for 2020 income. For a lot of people, especially given the COVID environment and the impact that it's had economically, the financial situation today is not the same as it might have been in 2020. People are not working like they were, or they've been off because they were ill. There is a process that every campus should offer, and we definitely do, but just about any campus can take a look at your current income versus the income from 2020. So if you have had a loss of income due to those kinds of circumstances, please reach out to the financial aid office, no matter where you might be going, to see if they can take a look with you and reevaluate your FAFSA application or your DREAM Act application to look at your current ability to pay versus what it might have been a couple of years ago. Adrianne, do we have questions in the
We do.
All right.
One of the questions was the one when you stated about the clean slate. So it was like the clean slate was for the master's program. That was the question. So
There's a couple different things happening right now. There's the loan forgiveness that's happening for 10,000 for students. I haven't heard that there's a program classification on there, but I'll have to recheck. There might be. There's also the Fresh Start program. So what Fresh Start is students who were defaulted on loans can now be considered back and paid up to date, even though they're really not. And what that does is make you eligible for federal and state aid, even if you were in a situation where you've defaulted on loans in the past. Those are all applied for directly through FedGov. And if anybody needs a link or more information, again, please email me and I will send you all the pertinent information directly if that's something that you want to look into.
And then there's another one that says, do you have basic needs that help pay for rent?
So there's no basic needs that are specific just to pay for rent. Financial aid is all kind of put into one bucket and paid to you. So whatever aid you might be eligible for is sent to you. It covers your tuition first, and then anything left is refunded. So if you're currently attending CSUB, please email me directly, and I am more than happy to also take a look at your aid and make sure that you have everything we can award you right now. I do know we're currently out of Master's State University grant and credential, but Monday is census date. So what that means is that after Monday, we'll start taking back funds from all the students who dropped their classes or did not attend, and then we can reissue it. So if you're currently attending, you're not awarded state university grant, please feel free to email me, and I would be more than happy to take a look at your account and see if there's any funds you're available for.
Thank you.
All right, what else?
The next one is, what scholarships do you recommend?
All of them. All of them. When you go into Scholarship Universe, again, if you're a current student, we're pulling in your data from PeopleSoft already. So we've got a lot of information in there. The more questions you answer, the system's going to ask you questions based on the data it has. The more questions you answer, the more scholarships you can be matched to. In this system, you can also sort them by dollar amount. You can sort them, I believe, by how easy the application is as well. So you can start wherever you want, but scholarships are free money. So I highly encourage you to take that time to apply for any scholarships you're matched for. Even if it requires a 5-page essay, it can be worth it. It really can. If it's a $2,000 scholarship and it took you 5 hours to write that essay, you've just made, you've just made $2,000 on a couple hours worth of time. So if you're looking for guidance on your essays or how to answer them, they can all be specific and unique. But again, I am more than happy to provide any tools and assistance I can when it comes to applying for those outside scholarships.
For the next question, might or might not have to do with financial aid, but I can kind of answer it. So it says, currently a computer science for my bachelor's, but would like to do my master's in an engineering field. Is that something I can do, or can you switch? So that's not really a financial aid question. It's
all yours.
Question that I can answer, but yes, you can definitely, you never have to do the same major in your master's. You can always switch as long as you meet the prerequisites or the requirements for that graduate's program. So if the engineering program requires some things that you didn't get to do in your undergrad, you might want to already start looking and seeing if you can take care of some of those classes in your undergrad before you graduate, so you are prepared for the engineering master's program. Other than that, some other options are getting a second bachelor's or just going back to the community college and taking care of some of those prerequisites that are available. But we can always talk another time. So I'm going to go to the next one, which is, what criteria does the state university grant consider?
Okay. Can I go back to the first question really quick? You had mentioned and recommended getting those prerequisites done before you complete your bachelor's. And I just want to stress that so much, because once you do get your bachelor's, if you have to take prerequisites and you're not admitted to the next program, you are not aid eligible. So you're looking at paying completely out of pocket to get those prerequisites done. So if you're still within your unit limit, you're still meeting SAP and in good standing, and you know you need to take those classes to switch to a new field, please take them while you can while you're getting financial aid, because you won't after you graduate until you're admitted to the next degree program. So what criteria does state university grant consider? And you can find this on our webpage as well, but you do have to be a California state resident or an AB 540 student. And there are income requirements and there are unit limits. So it really just depends on your program. We can't award you past the length of the program. And then it's also based on EFC or expected family contribution that's determined by the FAFSA or DREAM Act. How do international students without an SSN apply for financial aid? So without a social security number, and if you are not DREAM Act eligible, you cannot do the FAFSA or the DREAM Act. What you can apply for are all the scholarships that do not have a citizenship requirement. So if you're attending CSUB as an international student, again, log into that scholarship portal, our CSUB Roadrunner Scholarship, and it'll ask you your citizenship status. So put in there that you're an international student or you're not a current citizen, and it will still help match you to those scholarships that do not have that citizenship requirement.
And then could I still receive Pell Grant if I decided to take a year off?
So Pell Grant cannot be used for masters, only bachelor's and credential. And it does not matter how much time you've taken off in between. You get a total of 6 years maximum as long as you're still Pell eligible. But you cannot use it for your master's program, unfortunately.
So the last time you had this conversation, Kim, you had mentioned if you're thinking of getting the credentials and a master's, you always suggest go for the credentials first because you can, you might be able to get that Pell Grant, right?
Yeah.
And then do your master's afterwards, because if you do your master's first, one, you'll probably start making a lot more money. So that financial aid situation might be a little different. I don't know if you want to explain that again, because that always stuck to my mind.
Yeah, and the financial aid options available as a credential student they are much better than as a master's student. They honestly just are better. So if you're looking at doing both, as she said, please do the credential program first if you can. You might also be able to knock out some of your classes that are required for your master's program and shorten the length of your master's program, which extends your aid as long as possible. Good point. Thank you.
Yes. All right. So I'm currently applying for a position at CSUB. Yay. And I noticed that as part of the benefits, employees can have their courses paid for. Do you know if you can still be eligible to receive financial aid, grants, and scholarships as well?
Okay. So yes, and it just depends on the type of grant. So scholarships, absolutely. It should not affect your scholarships. There are a couple grants that it can affect because the fee waiver covers the same fees that like state university grant might. But if you're eligible for state university grant or Cal grant, we can still use it to cover the difference that the fee waiver might not cover. So the fee waiver typically covers 2 classes. If you decide to enroll in a third, we might be able to use that grant to cover the difference that isn't covered.
Then I think the next question was reposting your email. So I did that.
Thank you.
And then it was what I just kind of had mentioned. So the question is it better to get a single subject teaching credential first and then get the master's for financial aid? So I hope we answered your question there, Sky. Unless you want to go more into that one.
No, this question comes up a lot because there's some programs that encourage the master's first. And there are reasons to do that, but just keep in mind that financial aid could benefit you much more. And if you're in that position and trying to decide, please come see us so we can go through your options with you. We can look at your FAFSA, determine what age you might be eligible for, and that would help. Also, one thing that I haven't brought up and that isn't on the slides, if you're currently an undergraduate and you are a Cal Grant recipient, Cal Grant will often award you 1 more full year for your credential program. But it's a separate application. You have to go to Cal Grant and actively apply to receive that extended credential year of your Cal Grant. So, and if you receive Cal Grant and you're thinking about going the credential program, go get that application done with Cal Grant directly.
If you have questions on applying to financial aid and going to FAFSA, that's Kim. But
That's me. And we do offer FAFSA and DREAM Act workshops. We usually start them mid-October and run them through early March, through the priority deadline. So keep an eye out for those. Just some of the common mistakes we see. Master's programs, the FAFSA is a little bit easier. You're a graduate student, you know, you're either a first year or continuing, and it's your master's. Credentials a little bit trickier. We have a lot of credential students whose aid is delayed because the FAFSA is incorrect. So credentials for FAFSA purposes is not a graduate program. You're considered a 5th year undergraduate. So do not check yes when it asks if you're in a graduate program, and make sure you put 5th year undergraduate as your year or your level. But again, I am more than happy to help. If you just, you know, need reassurance that it's done correctly, again, we can do it through Zoom. We will offer the workshops. The last couple of years, we have done them virtually because we had to, so I'm not sure what we'll do this year. But the virtual ones are actually really nice because you hop in a breakout room with a financial aid counselor and you're getting one-on-one guidance on completing your FAFSA and help getting it done. So I really do like that format, but we'll see what comes up. But, you know, watch your emails. We'll blast everybody when we're getting them scheduled. Check our webpage. We'll post them there as well.
yeah, and I think sometimes on our graduate student website, we also put it up there for
Awesome.
everybody. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, of course. So if I received a FAFSA support all throughout my undergrad, would I still qualify for it for graduate school?
So again, it depends on the type of aid, Eric, that you have. But basically all your numbers start all over when you roll into graduate school. The aid can be a little bit different, of course, because if you're going into master's, you don't have Pell, some other things, but your numbers start fresh when you start over in a graduate program.
And then can I go back with the scholarships?
Yes.
So when you're an undergrad and you're applying to scholarships, it's like you and like 90,000 undergrads, right? But then when you're applying to scholarships as a graduate student, it's like you and maybe 10,000 per se. The chance of you getting a scholarship is so much higher. I applied, so I was a student in the Masters of Public Administration, and I applied because I wanted to see what it felt like, what are the requirements, like kind of like if I'm telling you apply to a scholarship, I should myself do it and, you know, go through the experience. And I was so surprised when I did the runner one, the one that you're saying it's like one application. I got emails from Kim saying, hey, you qualified for this, scholarship. Just submit this application. And I was like, okay, I'll just submit it. And then I would get it. I'm like, wow, that was too easy. And then one time she's like, hey, you received $1,000 for the next 2 semesters. And I was like, what? When I wrote my statement, I honestly was like, blah, 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 like whatever. I'm just doing this for fun, right? And I still got them.
It's worth the time.
Yeah. And then don't worry about like your GPA, because that was another question I was asked once was like, well, my GPA is really low. Like, why should I even apply for these scholarships? A lot of times the scholarships might need a GPA, but a lot of times they're also just looking for a unique person, your story. They want to help you continue your graduate school without having that financial strain, and just write a really good, unique statement.
And write about you. Be honest. Don't say what you think they want to hear, because that's not what they want to hear. They want to hear about what makes you unique, what made your challenge unique, what's going to make, why do I want to give you my money? Tell me why. No.
Yes. Do you have any information about the Golden State Teacher Grant Program?
So the Golden State Teacher Program is one of those new ones that is being offered by the state of California, and it's run by CSAC, who also runs Cal Grant and Middle Class Scholarship. So Sarah, do you have any specific questions you had about it? You want to go ahead and just ask anything? Let me know what you're asking about specifically.
So it was specifically for the PPS credential. I work for a program called CSUB. So we do like kind of school counseling. And so I know now I want to do my master's in school counseling, and I know I want to do the PPS. And my sister actually sent me information about that. So I just wanted to know if there's any more, if that would qualify, if the PPS credential would qualify for that.
So I don't know specifically if it would or wouldn't. Have you checked out their link yet? And their information?
Not yet. So I
Okay.
still have to. So I just thought I'd ask as well.
Yeah, so Sarah, if you want to email me, I will send you all the information I have on it. And we do have a financial aid advisor here in the office who handles that program specifically. And I can put you in contact with her as well.
Okay, yes, that would be great.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
Your grant helps pay for class is the question.
So the Teach Grant, if you're asking about the federal Teach Grant, it helps pay for your fees, or it'll be refunded to you if you're awarded it. You just have to have room in that cost of attendance budget that we were looking at to apply. So the Teach Grant has, I believe, a 3.25 minimum GPA, and then there is a commitment to serve. So make sure you read the details, because if you don't follow through with the commitment to serve on the Teach Grant, it turns into an unsubsidized loan. And that unsubsidized loan is the one that starts accruing interest immediately, and they will accrue it all the way back to the day you took out that grant. So Teach Grant, I don't like the way that it's called a grant. I really wish they wouldn't call it that. So please read the details. It is a great tool out there and a financial aid help if you need it. But again, please read the details so you really understand what you're committing to when you apply for the Teach Grant.
So it's almost like a loan.
It can turn into a loan, yes. Yeah. If you don't fulfill the requirements that you agree to, it turns into a loan. And they will hit you with all of that interest starting back from day one.
All right, so if I work for a nonprofit that provides services to kids, is that considered a qualifying agency for the CalSec Title IV program?
For CalSWEC is a little different, and you really want to talk to the Masters in Social Work program specifically to see what qualifies for CalSWEC. CalSWEC pays full fees and then some. So the other thing to keep in mind if you do qualify for CalSWEC is that you're probably not going to get other aid. Like it's going to be just the CalSWEC in most cases. But please check with the social work program to see exactly what qualifying agency is, because they'll determine that on their end, whether or not you meet the qualifications. And I don't want to tell you wrong.
Thank you so much, Kimber, for doing this presentation.